It's not the diaspora wars that I see on Twitter, YouTube, social media that compel me to make this video, because I don't really care for the drama and the bull. That's why the comments will be off, because I don't care to go back and forth. I said what I said. And if you are a subscriber, if you are a steely, we will talk again. We will speak again. These issues will come up. But if you're just here to be a hater and to project your insecurities, if you're just here to cause chaos and division, I don't care what you have to say. And that's always a lot of people, because they don't realize how hurt they are inside. So they want to deflect and act like something I said bothered them. No, your daddy bothered you when he walked out the door. Okay? I'm sorry, but it happened to me too. Your daddy bothered you when he walked out the door. Okay? I didn't even know my daddy walked out the door, because I didn't realize that men were supposed to live in the house with you. I never saw it. I'm just being honest. And from what I've seen, thank God he's gone. I would not have wanted him around whatsoever. He wasn't worth anything. He dropped by and give you a couple of jacks and a bouncing ball. Jacks and a bouncing ball? Where's my money? Y'all should know me well enough. Shit. I used to always root for the underdog. And it took me years to realize the underdog is me. Black women, Black Americans, everyone is shitting on these people. I can't help you if I'm still trying to help myself. And I've been fired from spaces because of racism, because I'm Black, advocating for Black, and nobody wants that. You have to understand, I never said nothing about Black Americans in no space where I work. What's the point? We're all here. I'm gonna fight for any Black person that's here. Reparations is a specific issue in every country where the case is presented. So, read some books on that. What's up, Steelies, and anyone that came here to try to be a hater? I want to start this video off by addressing the title, the Diaspora Wars, aka the Oppression Olympics. I think it's boring. I think it's tired. Unlike a lot of people who will go back and forth on these things in social media, because I don't see it popping off in real life. That's number one. I don't see it popping off in real life. That's why I know that you don't really have smoke the way you say you do. I don't pretend to be God and see everything and see every tweet and see every video and see every picture and know everything. I don't know everything that goes on. There could be people who are Black Americans who are being very insulting. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like, you insulted me, so I'm going to make bold statements to make the life that you live in the country that you live in more of a living hell. I don't understand how you can tell people in their own country that they live in that they better advocate for this, that, and the third, especially when that work is there. We've seen that. So it's a lot of gaslighting and a lot of just nasty picking on each other. And honestly, there's no unity across the diaspora. There's no unity in Africa because of that mentality. There's no unity of Black Americans in America, and the only ones that I see trying to make that unity are descendants of American chattel slavery, American descendants of slavery, who are stating, at the end of the day, yes, this is who I am. And it's been ridiculed, and it's been looked down on, and it's been made a joke, and we've been told we're not good enough for hundreds of years. But we're gonna sit here and acknowledge, yes, this is who we are. This is who we are here. This is our identity at this point. I don't believe in giving my DNA away. One in my sibling group who I know we have the same mother and father took a DNA test, and they are 24.5% European ancestry. I can't make this up. I'm not going to say that's my results, because you would believe it more coming from this lighter skinned person than you would at me. And I don't give a damn to say it. Because I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't believe, no, I'm 100% Black. There's just been a mixture. My grandmother, everybody say their grandma was Indian. My grandmother had Native American ancestry. That's the bottom line. Her father was Black and her mother was Native American. We have Fulani DNA ancestry, which I really clicked with, but they are located throughout Africa as well. And they'll tell you the regions, but what you want me to do? Backpacking and go figure it out? Anyways, I'll do that later when shit calms down and I get my money up. They don't travel. I've been around the world and yah. Oh, let's be clear. I've been around the world and yah. I've been around the world and yah. I don't travel for cheap. I don't stay in cheap places just to say I've been somewhere, because I don't have to. Because eventually the funds will come so that I can travel in luxury the way I'm accustomed to. That's just me. I would never go to anyone's country and say to them, why aren't you fighting for me in my life and advocating for me? Because I'm here living my life. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. Also, that narrative is not true, because we do advocate for each other and we see it. We see it. Africans advocating for Black Americans. I see in a lot of, don't let them say African American. They don't get to say African American. Nobody says African American anymore. So I'm just being honest. So that's fine. I've seen Africans in Africa advocating for Black Americans, and you know very well of the Black Americans here who have advocated for Africans and continue to do so and are Pan-African. Most Black people in America are Pan-African. My family is Pan-African. Their sense of the world is I'm Black. They're not actively fighting for reparations because they don't understand how much they need it. They don't understand how much that's going to help their children. So they're not actively fighting for reparations. They're doing other things. So I'm going to conclude with reading this statement that a friend of mine made on Juneteenth that really moved me. And I'm not going to reveal her name, even though she stands in her truth and said, feel free to use my name if you like. I'm not going to, because trolls. And I take my friendships very seriously. Okay. A little bit more about me. Okay. I went to private Catholic school. Even though I grew up in the hood, I had a scholarship to private Catholic school. And the wealthiest Black girls in that school were first generation African or Caribbean girls. And I was friends with them. I spent nights at their home. They helped me out greatly. Because as you guys know, when you come over to America and the poorer people of your country are left behind, you're coming to a country where the poor Black people are here. We're here. The poorest Black people of America, we are here. And I was the poorest Black person. I was of the poorest of Black people. Period. And those girls and their families helped me. They gave me SAT classes. They took me to engineering classes. They gave me rides to basketball games. I couldn't have made it through the school experience without kindness like that. I think it's horrible what's going on right now. And so counterproductive. And we're not gonna get anywhere. And we're not gonna get anywhere because of it, as always. So let me read this statement that my friend made on Juneteenth on her social media. And again, this is a family who helped me. This is a Caribbean American family. They've helped me get jobs. They've helped me with this channel. They've taken in me and my husband, this interracial couple, and allowed us to be in their space and not be judged, not by them. Her father actually was like, oh my gosh, your husband is such a good man. Talked to my husband for hours. My husband swear they was like, they was cracking, having the greatest time. These are family friends. These are friends that are like family friends, period. And they understand the importance of Black Americans getting reparations and true equality being had here. And everyone needs that wherever they live. All Black people deserve that wherever they live. But we can't sabotage because we don't want to do that work. So this is the statement. 3 non-Black Americans in Juneteenth. My family doesn't typically celebrate the 4th of July. Every year we get together and have a huge gathering, but just like Thanksgiving, we get together because it is a day everyone has off work, not because of the actual holiday. We know, and especially my generation of cousins have known since youth, that the origin of these holidays are steeped in the original sins of this country, the extermination and forced migration of indigenous Americans and enslaved Africans. So especially as we got closer to adulthood, there was a concerted effort not to celebrate that day, but instead just celebrate family. This year was the first year we have ever observed Juneteenth. I think it would be disingenuous to post all those celebratory pictures and videos without some context. The relationship between Black Americans and Caribbean and African immigrants is fraught with tension. Perhaps less so now than when I was growing up, but my perspective might be skewed because as my views have evolved, so has my circle. White supremacy has done a number on the bonds between those across the diaspora. The messages that are designed to uphold and bolster systemic racism in the U.S. aren't just confined to the U.S. They are exported worldwide. Those messages tell Black Americans to stay in their place, and they tell other Black people that we are not them. As immigrants to the U.S. who moved from a Black majority country, those messages were ingrained in our psyche. As soon as our passports were stamped, look at how they live. They've been in this country for centuries, and look how little they've accomplished. They're lazy. They don't want to work hard. They have no culture. It wasn't uncommon when someone had a new friend or significant other to ask the question, are they Black American? With a wrinkled nose and a furrowed brow. These are all questions I've asked and statements I've made. It is painful and embarrassing to admit now, but it's more important to speak the truth and speak it plain and take accountability. White allies, take note. We were sold the myth by white supremacy that Black Americans hadn't made it very far in this country because of some indelible stain on their character. But we could have the full promise of this nation if we just didn't act like them, think like them, congregate with them. We were better. We just had to act like it. It took years of actively, keyword, learning and unlearning the history of this nation to shake my thoughts from the grips of the lies fed to me throughout my entire childhood. Even now, when I look at the circle of those I call my friends, the vast majority are Caribbean and African, not Black American, even though I've been in this country for 28 years. Residual effects of years of self-segregation. It is natural for people to congregate along tribal lines. I'm speaking specifically about when we make those choices, not because of commonalities, but purported differences. So these culture wars began. It might or might not, I'm honestly not sure, be worth it to note that the blade cut both ways. Caribbean and Africans weren't treated well by Black Americans either. And because I don't want to stray from my point, accountability, I won't spend any more time centering our pain. However, again, that only speaks to how pervasive, insidious, and effective white supremacy is. It had two groups of people who were more the same than they were different, screaming about the things they hate about each other, which essentially was like screaming at a mirror, while the real enemy hid in plain sight, feeding us the words we use to cut each other down. So now, as we finally have a holiday that we can celebrate fully without caveat, it's important to have a reckoning with who we are before we reached this level of enlightenment and acknowledge the ancestors that gave everything for this celebration to even occur. My people were also brought to our shores in chains, but we voluntarily migrated to this land. It is based on the promise white America sold to us in a nation Black America built. We have come here in droves for a chance at the American dream, while our brothers and sisters have been living the American nightmare for centuries. Without them, this would not even be an America anyone would want. Any Juneteenth celebration without an acknowledgement of these simple facts, without a reflection of those whose lives were stolen, on those who chose the sea, on those who toiled for generations to make it to the first Juneteenth, and those who still fight for their liberation until this Juneteenth isn't a celebration at all. So to my Black American friends, I see you, I see your history, I see the full depth and breadth of your humanity. In a nation that from its inception tried to strip you of everything you are, you have risen, flourished, and thrived against all odds. And to my fellow Caribbean and Africans who are for the first time celebrating Juneteenth this year, let's do a bit more than posting infographics and pictures. Let's acknowledge what the holiday means, how we've benefited from the sacrifices of others, make amends, and work together across the diaspora to ensure the promise of Juneteenth is fully realized. Because no one is free until we're all free.